Before we leave this segment, I want to talk about rules of the game. Tell our listeners what the call you're most famous for, which is the tuck rule.
Well, the reason that this tuck rule is so famous and people want to continue to talk about it is because what happened after my call. I mean, if New England hadn't won the game, if New England hadn't gone ahead and won the Super Bowl, and if New England hadn't gone ahead and won 6 more Super Bowls after that, and Tom Brady hadn't become the greatest quarterback in the history of the league, that play wouldn't have meant anything. But that play started all of those other things that happened. And, it was a divisional playoff game in New England in a driving snowstorm, in a blizzard, and I'm the referee of the game, and Oakland is at New England, and Oakland is ahead 13-10, and we're inside of 2 minutes of the game. Now it's a blizzard. They can't, it's 13-10, so nobody can score because the conditions were just horrible.
Right.
It snowed like 12 inches during the game. It was just
looks
crazy.
Like a whiteout when you look at it online.
Right. It is.
It is a whiteout. I can't believe they let the game go on, actually.
Well, they don't call football games for anything but lightning.
Well,
lightning is it can rain buckets, but as long as it's not lightning, you're gonna play football. So anyway, with less than 2 minutes in the game, and New England gets the ball on the 40-yard line with no timeouts left, behind 13-10, and so they've got to try to drive down there and get a field goal or a touchdown. And on the very first play, on 1st and 10, Brady drops back to pass. He starts to throw the ball, but he brings it down. He's changed his mind as he brings it down. Charles Woodson hits him. The ball comes loose. And Oakland recovers it. The game's over. It's a fumble. New England can't stop the clock, so the game's over. Oakland wins the game. Well, we have replay. And so the replay official up in the booth called down and told me to stop the game. It doesn't work like it does now, the way replay is. I mean, it was all me. It was all the referee back then.
Oh.
So I go over to the replay monitor to take a look at this play. And my replay guy says, when I get over there and put the headphone on, he says, Walt, this is the game. And I said, yeah, I've kind of figured that. So anyway, but when I saw the play, I was behind the play. So that's where I lined up, is behind the quarterback, about 15 yards deep behind the defense. And when Brady started to bring the ball down, he turned his body, and then Woodson, the two of them screened me out of exactly what happened. And back then, if you have a question between whether it's a fumble or whether it's a forward pass, you always rule fumble because you can always change it. You can change it from a fumble to an incomplete pass.
Yeah.
But if you rule incomplete,
you don't get to do the review?
You can't change it back then. Now you can now.
Okay.
But back then you can't. So if you ruled it an incomplete pass, the ball is dead, the play's over. And so since I didn't have a clear view, I rule fumble.
Sure.
And I gave the ball Oakland to win the game. But with replay, I got to see the shot from the front. It clearly showed that when Brady got hit, he was bringing the ball down, and that's why it's called a tuck rule. Back then you had to tuck the ball against your body, and then if it came out, it would be a fumble.
Oh,
but he never got the ball. He never got the ball tucked back.
He was still in a
forward pass motion. So that's why they call it the tuck rule, because he had to tuck it back
to make it a fumble,
which he didn't do. So now there I am looking at this. It's my call. I mean, I ruled it a fumble. So now I've got to decide: am I going to change my call? Now, at the time, all the announcers said it was a fumble on the broadcast. They said, there's no way that you're going to change this. It's a fumble. I mean, it looked like a fumble.
Right.
I mean, everybody thought it was a fumble. My wife thought it was a fumble. I mean, but I knew the rule.
But you got to follow the rules.
And you have to do what's right. You have to have the guts and intestinal fortitude to do what's right. So I told the replay guy, I said, hey, this is not a fumble. This is an incomplete pass. He said, I agree. We need to change it. So I came out, made the announcement. We gave the ball
back to Brady.
We got the ball back to Brady. Second down, back still on the 40.
2 minutes left.
And the rest is history. Drives them down. Adam Vinatieri kicks a 48-yard field goal in a blizzard.
Oh, my God.
I mean, gosh, it was a line shot.
That's why you love football right there.
And game, so tied the game. Game went into overtime. We're in overtime. Vinatieri kicks a field goal.
And that was
wins the game 16-13. Then everybody said, I mean, the huge controversy. I mean, everybody said I shouldn't have changed it. I mean, it was just a big mess. The media. I mean, it was just unbelievable.
Oh, I know.
But everybody said it would go away because New England had to go to Pittsburgh the next week to play Pittsburgh in the AFC Championship game.
Oh, and they would have. Yeah.
And they said they're not going to beat Pittsburgh. Well, guess what? They went to Pittsburgh. They beat Pittsburgh. Then everybody says, well, they're going to have to play St. Louis in the Super Bowl. And that's when St. Louis had that great team with Kurt Warner and that offense and so forth. And said, oh, yeah, they're going to lose. Well, guess what? They won the Super Bowl. So here we go.
So that rule that you're referring to, you made that call in 2002, and that rule started in 1999, and then they finally discontinued it in 2013 because it was so controversial.
Well, they changed the interpretation.
They changed the way the article was written.
Yeah, you still have to rule.
Yeah.
You still have to rule whether it's a pass or a fumble, and they just changed the fact that if he's bringing it on down and he gets past about this point, he's not intending to throw it, so it's a fumble.
So is Tom Brady your best friend? Does he hug you every time he sees you?
Well,
he sends you Christmas cards.
Let me just put it. We had a good relationship when we were on the field.
Who were you playing? Who was the other team?
Oakland.
Did they talk to you ever?
Oh, I mean, I got a lot of stuff back then, and Oakland Raider fans still, and Charles Woodson. I mean, there's been enough TV stuff and so forth, and but I did what's right. It's just part of it, and that's the nature of what we do. And my last regular season game in my career, they actually they probably did it on purpose, but I don't know. But anyway, I had New England. I had the Jets at New England for my for last regular season game, and they were way ahead of the Jets at the end, and Brady wasn't in the game. They had the backup quarterback in there, for right at the end. And so when the game ended, Brady ran out the bench and came to me and, and shook my hand and congratulated me on a great career and all that kind of stuff. And then and gave me the game ball.
Did you cry?
And then no. And then in the locker room, Mr. Kraft, the owner of the Patriots, came in the locker room and presented me with another game ball. And thanked me for my, time as far as in the National Football League. So
that's cool.
So anyway, I have a good relationship with the Patriots, and I have a bad relationship. I never worked the Raiders again.
I bet.
Sure.
I mean, the rest of my career, I never had a Oakland Raider game.
Well, they didn't want you to get shot, probably.
So.
If you liked this video, subscribe to our YouTube channel by clicking on the picture in the center of the screen. For more of Kerry's interviews, click either video on the right of the screen. And as always, thank you for watching.